Please, if you would, bow your head for an invocation for a moment of silence. Thank you. Madam Clerk, pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, agenda adoption. Been asked to put in item 8A under the budget amendment.
And then
Is funding for potential
visitors center.
for the visitor center.
And we would like to strike 9A. We'll take 9A.
Strike 9A, okay.
So just 8A.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with the addition of item 8A as stated. Any additions? All in favor, aye? All opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 5, consent agenda, additions, deletions, corrections. Chair will entertain a motion to approve. All in favor, aye? Motion carries. Item 6, Zach.
You have appointments to the tourism board, TBA. We had Mr. John Binding put in his application to be on that board. So that is up for your approval.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, likewise, motion carries.
Do we even know him?
Item 7,
You need to designate your voting delegate for the North Carolina League of Municipalities.
Cheryl, you going this year?
I would like to go, or that's when I'm supposed to be in Denver,
Okay,
but I'm not clear as
but
to.
if you want to go, and I am going to go this year, since Harriet is in a place that she's safe now.
Mhm. So I'm in that middle ground there, either with you or them.
So the voting period is gonna be, well.
Something going up on the internet too.
Yeah, so. Everyone you would like.
Go.
You're the only one that cast the vote for the municipality.
Cheryl's not sure if she can be there or not, then
And
why don't you cast the vote?
then she can be the alternate, because don't we always send an alternate too?
So you both be there, but in case she's not.
Okay.
I'll do the voting.
Okay. All in favor, aye? Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 8,
There's a budget amendment included in your packet that covers the truck purchase. The approval was in fiscal year 21-22. It did not arrive until fiscal year 22-23. So we're having to adjust that, to showcase that.
if that doesn't fall in that line of 50,000, does it?
This is 62, but this is before all that.
That's
So,
okay.
yeah.
Chair will entertain a motion to adopt. Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 8A,
Mr. Daniels, do you have your?
Minimum housing, Cleveland properties, the two on the end are slated for fire department burn during late February. Peak Street, the house on Peak Street, across from Roseland, the inspection was completed and the hearing is going to be set for early January, right around the 5th. Kennedy Lane was burnt down on November 16th and we are arranging for the cleanup now.
The one on Peak, the hearing is just, detail, give me a little detail about that.
So the hearing, so once we do the inspection, I pull up I have a hearing, I send letters to the owner, they come in and declare if they're gonna try to repair it, I tell, because they can, We will knock it down if the repairs are over 50% of the value of the building. If they can repair it for under the value of the building, half of the value of the building, then we approve it, but based on that inspection, it would be nearly impossible to repair that. So, we'll have the hearing and we'll start the process.
Are we reimbursed for these tear downs and all this stuff?
Will we put a lien on the property?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's just lingers for as long as, till they.
Majority of it, we don't see that.
Till they quit paying tax.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, we covered this.
no, sir, we did not.
Okay, let's go back to there.
Visitor center, who's gonna be the representation there?
I'm Dick Calloway, the president of the Triad History Museum Visitor Center. You have our comments in your packet. I want to make just a couple points, kind of paraphrasing what I've written earlier. I think everybody is familiar with John Varner's redevelopment of the Owens Pharmacy building. And we appreciate the encouragement the town has given John on this. It looks like a sound project. We're looking forward to being part of it. We have been in that, the lower level facing Maple Street of that building for 8 years now. John and his partners want to put the microbrewery equipment, I think all of you know this, in that, what I call the tasting area, the lower part of it facing Maple Street. That's going to force us to move, and the good news is we get a large part of the old Owens Pharmacy square footage. That's going to be a huge improvement for us in terms of space, in terms of accessibility. We're not going to be on that dangerous downhill slope any longer, and as much as anything, perhaps more in terms of visibility. That's particularly important for a visitor center. People are going to know where we are. But even with the relative handicap in space we've had some significant improvements in traffic this year. As I said in my written comments, we could have expected an increase looking back from 21 to 22 because, thanks be to God, we're largely, I hope, out of the COVID crisis. And it has helped, it has improved the numbers. But we've had to deal with some aging building maintenance issues, which was to be expected. That building, as everybody's aware, is badly in need of rehab. We're looking forward to being upstairs where we don't have to deal with those issues and where we have a modern HVAC system. It's not going to use a lot of utility bills the way it's doing now in this rough winter weather the way it did in summer weather. But all of that, though we lost over 30 days in 22 because of these issues, our numbers still increased. We had about a 20% increase in the number of visitors that came into the center. And we believe we've done a good job of providing them with all visitor services. We've had people from at least 15 states and 5 foreign countries come into the center. I noticed one that has slightly updated the number that I put in my letter. I said 954 visitors this year. It appears it's now 967. So we might still make 1,000. I think it'd be 1,100 already if we hadn't lost those 30 days. I don't know how to forecast the improvement that we're going to have when we go upstairs, facing Trade Street, but I think it's going to be rapid. I would expect a large, very large increase number of people seeing that we are there and coming in for the services we can offer. Let me see if there's anything else I need to highlight. Well, that's the good news. The bad news is that it's going to increase our rent. It's going to triple our rent. We've really been fortunate to get the rate that we're getting on that downstairs area now. John's given us a very good deal, I think. We're, to say the least, getting a competitive rate there. But it's more dollars and cents. Now, we think that if the town would be willing to double the supplement they've been giving us, $500 a month, take it to $1,000 a month. We've been getting 500 out of the 750 we're paying in rent, but when we move up there, it's gonna be over $2,000. That's at $12 a square foot for 1,800 square feet, and pro rata share of taxes, insurance, and so forth. So, we're asking for double, but we're gonna be paying triple easily. We also believe, and have good reason to believe, that we can double the money that we have been raising through membership, through donation, through other fundraising events, and through grant activity. We've asked for very little grant money for the past 2 years, but we already have much more in the process right now. It hasn't been approved, but we're very optimistic about it, much more than we have collected over the past 2 years. You'll see that we have a $41,000 budget for 23, and projected expenses are about 42.2. So that's a $1,200 deficit, even with the supplement we're asking from the town. I believe, however, that our income figures and our expense figures are very conservative. I know that we can raise more money than we have on this income sheet. And I better be careful, or I'm going to talk you into believing that we don't need the money I'm asking for. I've had a lot of goals in life that I didn't make. I don't know about the rest of you. And I've had a few that I have. We have a goal, I have a goal personally for the museum to get to the point that we don't need to ask the town for anything. I would love to be there. Realistically, we're just not at this point. If these numbers go as well in terms of expenses, income and expenses, as I'm hoping this year, we can at the very least have a balanced budget. And we can start thinking about the possibility of increasing what we're asking. Maybe I shouldn't even mention the possibility. As I say, I've had lots of goals in life. I haven't met all of them, and it's not going to keep me from setting goals. And that's my goal for the museum. We are trying to do the best job we can as a visitor center. We really believe that we can make the best use of this redevelopment that John Barnett is spearheading, and can be an active part in increasing the stability and vitality of downtown Triangle. If you have any questions, I did make a note in here too. Joy will get on my case, but I'll mention this again. It's amazing to me the comments we've heard about having a public restroom, letting people use our restroom. That shows you that the town has been right on the money in thinking that we need this downtown. We're happy to help with it if we can. So we're just excited to be part of this redevelopment in downtown Triangle. We appreciate the help and support you've given us. Any suggestions we would love to have, and any questions we'll try to answer.
Dick, my first question is, have you applied for anything from the community foundation?
Yes, sir.
How about the operations? Is that line item still there with them?
Well, operations, as you know, can be a difficult thing to get grants for. What we're trying to do, frankly, is back operations into other projects like exhibits. We're going to need some expertise in the exhibit area we don't have. We're going to have to pay somebody. That's probably. That's part of operations. Wanda or Joy, either one, feel free to comment on this, what we were asking for in the present grant from the foundation.
I think our biggest needs are going to be the build out, making sure we have the right kind of lighting and the right kind of shell to put in proper shelving and exhibit pieces. And I'm talking to a few carpenters now about some ideas on how to build exhibit boards and that kind of thing. But they, of course, do not want to pay salaries or anything like that. But for a big, retrofit and to upgrade all the exhibits and to supplement our Tales of Tryon, you might have noticed, is one of our biggest successes. And we can do that, no matter what our space looks like at any given point, because we're using historic venues around town to do a lot of those presentations. They're well received, people leave donations, they really enjoy the talks. And we're upgrading kind of the level of some of those presentations, and we'll be needing to pay honorariums if we get really top-notch speakers for some of those programs. So a lot of that, it all gets folded in. I don't think they really have a line item that says operations, because it's sort of all operations.
As far as I know, they don't.
Uh-huh.
We're covering Tales of Tryon, our build out, our moving expenses from one level up to the next, and what else in this grant that we have?
Just
foundation
proper storage
Uh,
of papers and artifacts, we're,
I might mention, try to be careful mentioning names, but maybe it'll hold Dean's feet to fire if I mention his name. But, we have talked with Dean Freitas, who of course was a former board member, about advising us on the build out. And, we think we can get along very well with him on that.
And we want to be very sensitive to the fact that we are promoting the visitor center also and having displays for the literature, because people come in, younger people say, oh, I'll look at it on my phone, but people over 45 still want a brochure. Even though they have their cell phone in their hand, they just want the immediate, oh, just give me a brochure. And also, we don't know about our consistency with our Wi-Fi when we're traveling around. But for sure, in our displays, we will rotate, because of the space will be different. We will be rotating the displays so they're fresh and not always the same.
It's been a rough year, frankly, with the move projected and with some of the lingering effects of COVID. And with a couple unexpected resignations we had from the board, through no fault of the museum, people just had new opportunities and just some health issues in one case at least. But we think we've learned a lot this year. We know we have, in fact. And incidentally, I complain about not getting more young people involved on our board, but personally, I've handed out materials to younger people who come to the museum. And I'm encouraged by the number of younger people who do visit Tryon. They are in there and ask good questions. We've got a lot going on at one time. We continue to, well, we're going to, we got really a very good meeting, I thought, with Noah and Sarah Bell. Spent about an hour with us one day, talking about the possibilities. I feel they're really engaged in this. And I'm looking forward to a new era working with the foundation. I think it's really going to go smoothly now. We're not going to get anything, we're not going to get everything we ask for. I'm smart enough to know that, but we're going to be judicious about what we ask for and the way we ask for it. And I certainly think that'll help. We're looking toward the possibility. What we badly need is a paid staff person, and you're just not going to get grant money for that as such. We may be able to work it in with some other things. I doubt it's going to happen this year, but I think to really take off and go where we need to go, we need that. But we're running the visitor center, and I want to give Joy a lot of the credit for that. She's in charge of our docents in the museum. We need more docents, but we're doing a good job of what we have. And again, we welcome any suggestions, but I hope that answers your question, Mr. Mayor, or shed some light on it anyway.
Can you expand a little bit on public restrooms?
Well, all I can say is that we have a restroom in our area now. We're glad for anyone to use it who wants to, as far as I know at least. We're going to have one in our space upstairs too. And I don't know that I would be in favor of putting up a sign on our door that says public restroom. I hadn't thought about it, frankly.
Is it
Sherelle,
Is it gonna be your restroom or will it be the building's?
well, it's our restroom as I understand it. Sherelle is giving me some signals here. She's shaking her head.
For all practical purposes, consider building with the town's name on it, it's a public restroom.
Well, I think so, frankly, and that's the way we're looking at it. We've used the term public restroom. I'm not aware that we have had anybody just barging in the door saying, I want to use your restroom.
But if you go on Trade Street, you're gonna have tenfolds people.
It is gonna happen more. We're just gonna have to, we're just gonna have to use our heads and our discretion. Any advice you have on it, I'd be interested in hearing.
I personally don't see a sign anywhere that says public restroom. Some people just need to go. and they
Well, yeah,
leave.
yeah.
But, as far as I know, there's not anyone publicizing that in Harlem, most places. And I have been in places though, recently, where people have, no public restroom.
I've seen that too, Sherelle.
But they will let children,
Yeah.
use it.
And-
But as a former member of,
The board, our board, yeah.
yeah, of the board, I totally support you all. I was gonna say about $1,000 a month from the time, this is just my opinion. This, would be something that I think we need to, as a board, look at and, probably not squeeze the whole 1,000 into it. That's just my opinion. But like I said, as a former, member of this organization, I know exactly what you need. I know exactly what you're talking about. And like I said, I definitely support it, but as a member of this board, I think that I do.
Well, I appreciate that, Sherelle, understand what you're saying. We expect you to discuss it and reach the best decision you can reach with everything considered. And let me make clear that I'm not announcing we have a public restroom, and we're not thinking about putting up a sign. The point was merely that we know the town would like to see something along those lines somewhere, if it could be worked out, and we're willing to do our can. Now, you bring up another point in my mind by talking about the difference between being down there and up here. One attractive thing about the new location, we think, is that our docents, most of whom are women, and we'd be happy if we could find people under 60. We consider 60 young right now for docent work. But when you have a lot of women and you have people who are getting on in years, there have been some safety concerns about the downstairs location. I think that's going to be much better on the street. It's a two-way thing. We're going to have more people wandering in, wanting this and wanting that, undoubtedly. It's just part of being downtown. But I also think that our personnel are going to feel safer on that location. I'm committed personally, and I know my board is, to making this work one way or the other. We really believe that we need what we're asking for here. We hope we'll get it, but the best you can do is the best you can do. And we're going to make it work regardless. We know we have your moral support. We know we have your encouragement. We've had your help from day one. We do appreciate it.
And can I mention something else? We just talking about the docents and their safety. Of course, everybody remember Linda D. coming in and the set organizations talking about accessibility. I would suggest, like I said, it's been a part of this organization in the past, and these women that he's talking about, I think there must be some designated parking specifically for those workers, because if they have to park down the hill or across the way, it would defeat the purpose in having the help.
Thank you very much for that. That's something I was remiss in not mentioning. I appreciate your mentioning it.
Last month, you were talking about getting the store owners and employees off Main Street.
I listen.
Yeah.
I totally,
Yeah, I don't know if I like designating a space so nobody else uses it.
Yeah.
It's gonna sit there empty because there's nobody there.
If you tie that in to we want to fix behind all the buildings, get them cleaned up, and put parking lines there, there would probably be enough space back there.
That
I
would
love the idea
help.
of moving it to where, to the new location. I think that's a great idea. I think it's gonna be, and I wouldn't mind paying the,
You wouldn't mind paying what?
I will discuss it.
Could you speak
I got a
a little
little
louder?
Sherelle, I thought I better.
Yeah, I know, Bill, I know about Sherelle's looks. I appreciate the help she's given me while I'm standing up here tonight, and I'll tell the world that she was a darn good board member. I wish we had her back there. She is large, she is, responsible as much as any one person, if not more, for the success we've had with Nails and Pride. But we are trying to broaden our appeal there. We've had as many as 130 people in these minutes, so we can't have it in our museum facility any longer. We have to seek out other venues, but we've squeezed that lemon and lemonade, I think.
Dick, I'm gonna tell you, we're in the same year as we were when I was playing. And we had the county museum was over here.
Right.
Everybody wants it. Nobody wants to pay for it. That's it in a nutshell.
We realize that, and that's why feel very strongly. I made some remarks that maybe I didn't need to make here a minute ago, but I feel very strongly about paying your own way. And I'd rather not be here asking you for anything. On the other
You're
hand,
representing the town.
I'm representing the town, I feel, and I do feel it's important to have you all involved on some level.
Well, let me tell you this.
Okay.
I have about 100 paintings from local artists as far back as 1903. I have a lot of artists and postcards that are gonna go to y'all. But I'm not willing to die now so you can get it.
It wouldn't be worth that to us, I'll tell you. And that is something else that we have discussed. And I think you're going to see that in our new quarters, that we want an exhibit. There's a lot of local art, and we all know that. There's even more than many people realize. I'm convinced that there is a place for more display area for local art, and we plan to address that. So I'm glad you brought that up too. But we look forward to having you around and working with us for a long time. Okay.
Not as mayor.
I didn't say that one way or the other, but I know you support us whether it's mayor or not. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item 10.
TDA update, that'll be Ms. Newman. I would also like to see, that road closure request right after that, as well as just trying to do that stuff.
Yes, just want to provide a very quick update in your packets. I'm still working heavily in the promotion organization, pillars of the Main Street organization, and getting to know everyone and the needs of Tryon for the economic vitality and design portions that we're charged with maintaining. I've had a lot of great support from my board and from volunteers in the community. We had a very strong Christmas stroll this year. That was a lot of fun, and we're coming up quickly on Friday midnight on December 31st. It's been instrumental in getting that off the ground and working with us there. I would like to submit a road closure request for the 31st, beginning at 5:30 for the main blocks there. Where Friday night is.
Carol, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to get it.
All in favor, aye?
If I may,
Motion carries.
When,
let's amend that to 4 o'clock closure. It starts at 6, is that correct?
7.
7, okay. How much?
Good
I'm good.
Okay. I got some cold.
Thank you.
Okay. Does that cover 10 and 11?
Yes, sir.
All right, town managers report.
I don't really have anything. Randall, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Tim, you're doing good. Keep it up. Fire Department Walton, you're doing a great job. Just really glad that you all are here. Travis, you work your tail off. A lot of people don't see it, but thanks for everything you do on the field. Staff's great. I love you all. Y'all been a great board. Thank you for everything you've done for me and my family. I appreciate it all. Susan, you're probably the best clerk ever. And William, you're not too bad yourself. That's all I got.
Okay. Okay, tonight, Bill Poole, Bill Lee, and Sherelle did me.
Well, I really have little to talk about in the work session, but thanks to the staff. Enjoying working with the new police chief and fire chief. And, down at Farmers Field, good. You're getting back in your building, I see. So. So, and thank the citizens from Choate, and have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas.
Well, I'll just echo what Bill said about the staff and thank the citizens for coming. And I especially want to thank Zach. He has been a great town manager, not a good one, a great town manager.
Here, here.
Yeah.
And we'll miss him more than you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank everybody that's present. Of course, we thank the staff, the police department, fire department, and, Zach, congratulations. Much success to you and your family. I never said anything to the board. Susan, you are great. I agree with Zach, I'm not trying to do anything weird here. And to all, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And big thanks for that presentation for the museum.
Thank you.
That is near and dear to my heart. That's all I have.
Okay, folks, I'm gonna tell you a little story. It's gonna take a couple of minutes. This weekend, on Saturday, we moved the reindeer games at Polk County High School. It's a track meet, and we raise funds for the needy and give the throwback package. Saturday, I got to dress up at Santa Claus at 7:15, go to work. And during that day, we had 10 or 11 teams here. We had over 300 kids out doing good things. We raised $715 and 904 cans of food for them. From there, I got, forgive me if I tear up, because Saturday was one of the best days I've had in my life. I got to go be Santa, the place where my wife is. And there was an older lady there who's about 80, I'll just call her Dale. I've been going there for 4 months and I never saw her smile. She came into the hall with her walker, looked up at me, and I said, "Hey Dale, Merry Christmas." She smiled, came down with the walker and hugged me and smiled the rest of the day. I turned around a few minutes later, somebody had about a 10-year-old grandkid there, and she was dancing with him.
Oh my God.
On the way home after that was over, I'm driving through town with my Santa outfit on, and somebody goes, "Coach People, stop." So I pull over to the side, and there are 40 kids in our town going to dinner for the winter formal. And I got out and sat out there in that sleigh and froze to death. And I don't know that I've ever had a much better day than that. And once again, nearly perfect, always fine. Zach, thank you. God bless you and your family.
And I did want to say thank you to Michelle too. I know I was going to forget somebody, but Michelle's been really great. And I just want to say I think you guys are going to be really happy with what happens. You're really lucky to have her. And moving forward, I think it's one of the best things to happen in a long time. So thank you.
Yes, yes. Here, here.
Be careful, the last time we were told we were lucky to have you, you're leaving, you can't go. Okay, comments? Yes, ma'am.
Joyce Kempton. I have a little bit of problem with this town and the direction I see us going. While I support the museum totally and completely, I don't think they need to have 1,800 square feet of retail space on Trade Street. We're covered up with nonprofits now on Trade Street. We don't have enough retail in this town to support this town. I started working in this town when I was 15 years old in a grocery store. I worked at the grocery store. I worked at the movie theater. I worked at 2 different dress shops under 4 different owners. And there has always been a problem. If something closes, the first thing this council wants to do is put something in that empty building, and it doesn't matter what it is. It can be a church, it can be real estate, it can be anything, as long as they fill up the building. The same attitude when I complained about parking on Trade Street. Oh, but we want the town to look busy. The problem with looking busy is you will never be busy because there's nowhere for people to park if you do have somewhere for them to shop. I had women who drove all the way from Greenville to shop with us at Fashion 200. There was days when they came and went around the block 2 and 3 times and would call me and say, we intended to shop with you, but we're going on to Hendersonville. We can find parking up there. So I just ask that this town look at the direction they're going in. We need more retail. We don't need more nonprofit on Trade Street.
Bill,
It's the busiest now that we've been in 23 years since I've been here. We are busier now in town. We have these empty spaces. I'd rather see something that represents the town. And we do get tax money from the owner of the building.
Well, and the other thing is, we don't control it, we don't put anything in it, basically.
Yeah, we're not installing people into this building, but if nobody wants to take them and somebody finally does want to take the spots, I'm not gonna tell them no. And you know, I did it. I came here when there were power lines running through town and there was, most of the stores, most of them were closed.
16 empty stores.
And, Ms. Kempton, may I, interject, briefly? The museum has been looking for a place in town, for years. I don't know if you've been to the museum lately. And most people that come in, they don't notice the issues because they're looking at displays. I would suggest that that area has some help. Thank you. Definitely.
I understand your problems, but
Okay, but what I was saying is that the museum itself has been looking for a location, great location, for years. And it just so happens that the above space has come open. Is this in writing? Is it in stone that the museum will have that space?
It can be in writing anytime we want it in writing. I've been in close touch with John on it. And we are at the head of the line. I don't know what he would do if we didn't take it, but I'm just committed to taking it.
Okay.
And our board is, I think, one that has something to say there.
Not so much about the museum, but with my TDDA hat on, I want y'all to know that between Zach and the town and our board, when we hired Michelle, we are changing our focus, and it is going to be primarily economic development, business recruitment, business retention, business training, how to do proper merchandising. We're trying to move away from being so much tangled up with events, because there's 130 nonprofits and a lot of them are doing events and they can take on more responsibility. Even the merchants, need to be more involved. But that is, our mission statement is economic development. And with Michelle here, I have every confidence that within a year or so, you're going to start to see those improvements. And there is a lot of other economic development energy in the area. And I really think, before COVID hit, we were right on the cusp of doing some really cool things, and we just all got shut down. But I really believe that with the setup and the board that we have now and the new director, that it's going to make a big difference. And I mean, it's like Alan said, everything we do is slow, but we'll get there. Look what we've done in the last 30 years.
I will. Yeah, well, let me make one more comment. I saw your hand and Joyce, and I'll be brief. I'm sympathetic to what you said. And you made some very good points. I would say this, though, I'm here representing the visitor center as much as the museum. we have a dual purpose. I really believe that, and I've tried to cover this in my remarks, I really believe that we can leverage more development and more activity in downtown Tryon by doing a good job as a visitor center. A rising tide lifts all boats. And I'm also in favor, some people might think I'm insane when I say this, but I'm also in favor of setting a high enough standard for the museum that it becomes a destination. That people come to Tryon to go to that museum. I personally have just as much problem parking in Hendersonville as I do Tryon, but I think maybe I was a little too enthusiastic a minute ago about reserving spaces. I think, Bill and some other people made some good comments on that, and that might not be the best idea. But I think what the mayor said about lining and parking lots and so forth to take care of some of this as well. I've had the same feeling you had down the street and thought, well, we need more retail. I wouldn't disagree with that for a minute, but I really think that we can leverage something here if we do our job properly as a visitor center in the first place and then as a museum as well.
I see the other end. People come in and the positive things that they say about Tryon, especially on Fridays and Saturdays when a lot of things are happening, especially people that are coming back because they are from Tryon and they come back, it gets some kind of misty-eyed. And people just are always saying, what a sweet, quaint town. And your history, the equestrian, the toy makers, I mean, it just, and it's like, well, yes, you know, and the stroll was very encouraging when we had over 38 people that came into the stroll. And it's very encouraging. This is the side that we see. You hear all the things that need to improve and try and you need to do, and then people come in to the visitor center and the museum. And they tell you, and they remind you about Tryon. And that's what brought Jerry and I 30 years ago, you
I
know.
will
So,
remind you, so those of you who've been here before, you see this little card with my name on it. I normally pass out about a box of those a year. This is 2022. This is my third box, and it's half gone at $500 a box. So I've met 1,250 people roughly in this town that I didn't know this year. And if they came here, they probably spent money. Many times I encourage them. They'll laugh, how good. My motto is, come on and stay on, spend big. Here it is. Okay? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, aye. Opposed likewise, motion carries. Merry Christmas.
Here, 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 here.